Hello, and welcome to the Tuning In podcast. I'm Dana Evans, your inner voice and emotional support coach. In this podcast, we explore the deep wisdom that lives in our bodies, emotions, and inner voice. Together, we'll shed the layers that no longer serve us, creating space to tap into the flow of life and experience true ease. So, are you ready to join me? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tuning In podcast. Today, we're talking about why letting go feels so hard and what to do instead. But before we start, y'all, it has been raining here for 3 days, and I live in Santa Fe, and we just don't we get these like monsoony rains, but we haven't had rain. We had such a dry winter. We haven't had a lot of rain, and I am so loving the coziness. So I'm going to light a little incense stick for this session. Oh, and I have this really cute that I got in Santa Fe, this little pottery. If you're watching the video of this podcast on YouTube, you can see this little pottery adobe. It's like a little house. How cute is that? And you can see the glow of the incense inside. And can you see the smoke? Yeah. Isn't that cool? So we have a little incense energy to go with the cozy, cloudy day. I am just live for this weather. And, you know, when it's raining, I always feel like, especially if you live in the desert and it's dusty, right? We don't get a ton of rain. And so when we do, it really feels like the rain washes away the debris. And to me, that is this energy of letting go. It's like, where has the mirror gotten foggy, right? Where has the window or your glasses, I'm wearing glasses right now, like, are they smudged? Yes, mine are smudged. And we need to polish them. We need to wash away the debris. And sometimes the best way to do that is just a practice of letting go. So let's dive in. Today, I'm actually going to do something a little bit different as I tell you this story. So we are talking about letting go, but I want to share it from a different perspective. Instead of just sharing insights or outcomes, I'm going to invite you behind the scenes into my own recent experience with letting go. So a couple of weeks ago, I had such an intense experience. And in fact, the week it was, which I do not think is an accident, is the week before Easter. As I learned more about Easter, I learned about its significance in just this like revival energy. So I'm like, oh, of course I'm feeling this letting go coming up right now. But the whole week was absolutely intense, emotionally, energetically, mentally. A huge wave of shedding swept through me. And as it did, I actually reached for my journal, capturing what was happening in real time. So today, I'm actually going to open the journal and invite you in and share some snippets of my thoughts exactly as they came, alongside some powerful messages that my inner voice offered to guide me through the pain. So you'll witness moment by moment how letting go unfolded for me, the emotions that surged, and the clarity that emerged on the other side. I'll also share this experience, how it aligned with what I've been seeing in my clients' lives, and share some real examples of their own powerful letting go moments, as well as both macro and micro ways that you can play with this. And overall, how life guides us clearly when the time is right. In my own experience last week, the emotions felt so intense. I had confusion, emptiness, fear, grief, and doubt, all tangled together. My mind was desperate for relief, looking everywhere for an exit route. But after years of doing this work, I do know deeply that the only way out is through. So here's exactly what I wrote in my journal in one of those really uncomfortable moments. I can tell my mind wants something out of this experience. It's seeking the right food, but nothing tastes right. My favorite matcha that I've been drinking since January doesn't taste good. I literally can't drink it. Coffee doesn't even taste good right now. My mind is seeking the right activity, but nothing feels right. I'm just recognizing that right now and seeing it and letting it move through me. This isn't always what letting go looks like. A massive shedding, floodgates opening, leaving you feeling raw, exposed, and uncertain. But sometimes life takes us in that direction. Sometimes we want and need the bigger shed instead of the gentle release, the trickling away. In those moments, everything feels different. It looks different. You are different. But part of you desperately wants things to stay the same. Initially, this can feel alarming, even scary. But when you give in to the wave instead of fighting it, when you let it wash over you and through you, something beautiful happens. It starts to feel less scary and more natural, less jarring and more opening. That's exactly what you'll see unfold as we move through today's episode. So when I felt myself taken over by the intensity, when my mind was frantically searching for stable ground, I knew exactly where to turn. To my inner voice. Again, opening my journal, here's the question I asked in one of those really intense moments. Inner voice, what is happening inside? I feel all of these emotions and tension and frustration and confusion and emptiness and fear and doubt. It's all bubbling up. Help me see this in a different way. And here is an exact excerpt from my inner voice in how it responded. We feel it too. We are freeing you, releasing you, squeezing you out. You said you feel more you, more free, more clear. But my dear, there is more to clear, more to move, more to shed as you bloom. You are still budding. It is still spring. You are still in bloom. No need to rush forward to expand beyond your roots. Settle here, quiet down, turn off the noise and return home. Read, garden, cook, and play. Turn off the need to post every day. You can't do your way into clarity or knowing. Slow down, please. Turn away from your phone, away from the tasks. Take a breath, lay back, and bask. Bask in your life as it is right now, quiet and peaceful, and feel the wow. And so, after years of working with my inner voice, I do know that it is wise to listen. So I slow it down. And after my inner voice gave me that reassuring message, I surrendered more fully to the process that was unfolding. What followed was a deeply layered week, a powerful dance between emotional intensity and incredible moments of clarity. In one moment, I was completely immersed in waves of grief and heavy emotions. I'm going to share another journal prompt. And a big reason I'm sharing these prompts with you is because I'm on the other side now. So I'm not in the pain. So as I'm telling this story, I don't feel activated by it. And it doesn't feel as raw or painful. And I often talk to my mom about this because I tell her that I go through lows. I have the pain. I go through these moments of disillusion and confusion and doubt. And she's like, I don't see that in you. Even though she's my go-to person for a lot of these conversations, when she's feeling her own pain, her own discomfort, she has trouble believing maybe that I could experience that level of despair as well. And I want you to know that yes, I do. It is real. It is true. All of us humans go through this. And because of the way I now know how to lean into the pain, to ride the waves of the pain, the discomfort, and to lean on my inner voice during those times, I'm able to move through it and fully process it. And over the years, I have seen that whenever I'm being asked to meet myself in this discomfort, when I'm being asked to shed, to let go, to move on to another layer of me, it starts to happen more quickly. So over the years, it's happened quicker and quicker and quicker. I can move through the emotion because I fully lean into it and I don't resist it. And I allow the letting go to take over. And so I really love that I journaled during this whole time and can share it with you, because it's like, this pain was real, y'all. I can't even connect with that person from that last week of April. It was so much drama, so much pain, so many big, deep, heavy, intense questions and contemplations and aching. I was crying every single day. And it was like this feeling of grief that I didn't even know what I was grieving. I didn't know. It wasn't like, oh, this thing happened and I'm sad. It was like this existential grief of clearing and letting go of old parts of me that no longer fit. And I wanted to hold on. I wanted to grasp. But the best way for me was to just like grabbing a handful of sand and letting it filter through your fingers. And so I really am sharing this from a very clear, light, open space now, but tapping into those journal entries so you can see like, yes, this is real, this is raw. So from that moment, one of the many moments when I was completely immersed in those waves of grief, existential grief is really what I would call it. Here's what I shared in my journal. Yikes. My inner voice is saying there's still more to clear. I can't even imagine. It told me, you're not in summer yet. You're still in bloom. So this idea that I'm still shedding, but holy crap, it feels like agony. A lot of grief, a lot of disillusion, a lot of questioning, aching, yearning, missing. All of these heavy feelings. I'm crying so much that I've had a 2-day emotional hangover. But somehow, I know it's okay, and it's important for me to really be with the discomfort and move through it. So again, thank you, past self, for capturing these moments. Because in these raw, tender moments, my body needed deep rest. Lots of sleep, quiet spaces, and gentleness. Yet, amid all the heaviness, there were also moments of clarity. Almost like my head would suddenly pop above water. I would take a deep breath and see my life with fresh eyes, feeling the burst of a new perspective in energy. Because letting go isn't all pain and tears. We often imagine it to be that way, hence why we resist it. Yes, it's intense. Yes, it's emotional, but it's also profoundly reflective and ripe with wisdom. You begin to see your life, your choices, and your identity from a new perspective, a new vantage point, clearer, truer, more honest than ever before. And really, those moments of clarity, that week was a lot of high highs and low lows. My body was trying to regulate this new energy that was trying to come through while the old energy was still trying to leave. So it's like, it'd come up and I'd be like, whoa, life is good. And then it's like, I'd crash down. It was like, I was the wave. I was the high and the low. I was the crash and the crest. And so those high moments were a breath of fresh air, quite literally, where I was like, okay, I'm getting a glimpse, right? I'm getting a taste. I'm getting a nudge of like, this isn't it. More is coming. In this space of shedding, your relationship with life shifts. What used to fit no longer feels comfortable. What was familiar might suddenly feel foreign. And at the same time, new insights and bursts of clarity are right there, waiting to greet you as soon as you allow them to emerge. What I've learned is that these insights do not come from forcing, resisting, or rushing the release. They come naturally when we allow the shedding to flow, when we surrender to it, when we stop fighting and start listening. When we turn not outward, not to input, but to insight from within, from our inner voice. For me, that week of intense shedding and beautiful insights was like riding a wave, as I said, sometimes beneath it, submerged and uncertain, and sometimes above it, breathing clearly, seeing the shore and knowing where I was headed. It was during this time that snake medicine appeared in my awareness. I had had a coaching session for myself, and afterward I pulled an animal medicine card. I was like, absolutely positively, I saw that card deck and I was like, I must pull a card. And I am not at all surprised that I pulled the snake. Then it showed up through conversations. A shop in Santa Fe showed up that was named after a snake. I could not believe how all of a sudden the snake was showing up in my awareness, which was reinforcing the powerful message of transmutation. The snake shedding its skin, symbolizing renewal, rebirth, and wholeness. It showed me that these intense periods of letting go are not accidental. They're essential. Life guides us through these cycles of shedding to allow new versions of us to emerge. So if you're in a similar space right now, I invite you to let it flow. And as my inner voice loves to say, let it go, let it flow, let it go, let it flow. Let yourself feel deeply. Please rest deeply and listen deeply. Know that alongside the heaviness, there will also be moments of light, of clarity, insight, and wisdom. This experience is not here to break you. It's here to expand you. And it's only here because you're ready. I learned a long time ago that even if it feels like more than you can handle, these things are showing up because the time is right for you, which is why we cannot force it to happen. We cannot force a letting go. We can encourage it, which I'll talk about in a moment. But we have to create the space and time and safety within our bodies to feel the intensity, to feel the shedding, to let the new version of you emerge. And when you create that, the timing will arrive. And it won't just happen once, but over and over, the right timing will guide you when it's time to let go, because this is here for you. So interestingly, I saw this play out not only in my own life, but with my clients too. Like the one who realized that weight loss was about softening, not forcing. She stopped holding on so tightly to control so that her body could naturally let go of what weight it no longer needed. Or the client who let go of a job that no longer fit. The moment she stopped pretending it was fine, everything started to align, and the next right step became obvious. Another client released an old business identity. Her mind was terrified that she'd be missing out on who she used to be. But her inner voice said, "You're not missing out, you're elevating. You no longer need to operate in the way that you used to." And one more, she let go of external timelines. She now waits for her own clarity instead of letting urgency rule her life. She's making medical and life decisions, big, big ones, with calm clarity, and it's changing everything. In each case, it wasn't about what they lost, it was about what they made space for. And I want to step in here as well to say that not all letting go is these big major moments. What I have found is that when the big shedding is meant to come, it will come on the other side of micro shedding. So much of the work I do is about decluttering your emotions, right? Like Marie Kondo does your closet. So we actually play a lot in my realm of making physical space to make emotional space. And so letting go for you might mean cleaning out your closet. It might mean cleaning out your phone, your contacts. Talk about letting go of people that you haven't talked to forever. Going through your car and getting rid of old manuals. Like I have oil change receipts from 10 years ago. I'm like, I don't need that. And so we start to look at, where am I hoarding energy and emotion and things in my life? And where can I let that go? How am I operating in a way that is matching my old identity that I'm doing because it feels more comfortable, but it actually no longer feels right? For example, my matcha stopped tasting good. I could have forced myself to keep drinking matcha every day, but I'm like, no, I'm making space for something else to come in. I'm in the uncomfortable in between where matcha doesn't taste good, coffee doesn't taste good. What is my morning beverage, y'all? These are the things that we can let go in small parts of our life. Maybe you need a little cleanse. Maybe your body's calling for a different way of eating or a different way of moving. Maybe 5 years ago, you were a super athlete and your mind is holding on to like the only way to move your body is if you're working out the way you used to. But it's creating this resistance because you're no longer that person. You're wanting to evolve, but the mind won't let you. What does it look like to work out in a more spacious, easeful, aligned way? There's so many ways this comes into your life. And I'm actually running a program called the Clutter Cleanse, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to be looking at this idea of letting go. I want you to experience what it looks like over the course of 5 days to actually make space for what you need. We'll spend 5 days together live doing physical clearouts of our physical space. You will leave feeling more clear, calm, and organized both in your physical space and your emotional space. So if you want to be a part of that, the link to join the waitlist is in the show notes. But to me, this is so important because as we get more practice at letting go of the small things in life, both letting go of emotional triggers, letting go of clothing we don't wear, letting go of habits and activities that no longer suit us, it makes space and makes the bigger shedding a lot easier because you're used to letting the sand fall through your fingers instead of trying to hold on and keep things the same. And really, we've talked about this a lot in this podcast, but to release is to feel relief. My inner voice told me that a long time ago. And what I've discovered is that, again, letting go can't be forced. It doesn't have to happen all at once. And it often does feel like a sudden release. Like all of a sudden, it's like this no longer fits. And then sometimes it feels like a gentle dissolving, a gradual unfolding of what used to be. And so it's okay. It can be intense or it can be really gentle. And you're not really the one who's determining that. Your body is, and your inner voice is determining that for you. So often during this process, the mind will focus on what we're losing. I'm losing my old identity, the business I built, the friends I had, the life I knew, the body that I thought worked for me, the things I loved to eat, the thoughts I used to have. And this fear of loss can keep us gripping tightly, resisting the natural rhythm of change. But now I see letting go in a totally new way. I see it as a powerful redirection of energy. Think about a tree in autumn. If the tree holds on to its leaves for too long, the energy stays trapped. Those leaves, beautiful as they once were, now become an energy drain, preventing the tree from fully rooting down and relaxing into the nourishing season of winter. When we get to loosen our grip, just like the tree releasing its dead leaves, which then become compost that actually feed the soil. If the leaves stay dead on the tree, not only do they drain the tree, they don't break down and compost and strengthen the soil. So when we are able to gently loosen our grip like the tree, we allow our energy to flow back to where it's needed most right now, not where it was needed in the past. And holding on to what no longer fits, resisting change, hiding from inevitable transitions is incredibly exhausting. It drains you more than letting go ever could. But the moment you release, there's almost always a wave of relief, a surge of fresh energy rushing in to fill the space you've created. That's the magic of softening your grip. Yet we often fear the ending. It can feel like something is dying, an identity, a relationship, a career phase. But here's something I deeply believe and have experienced time and time again. Every ending is actually a pathway to a new beginning. Every single time. What do they say? When one door closes, another one opens. But truly, right? Energy is neither created nor destroyed. So even if one part of you needs to dissolve, if you need to let go of something, it's so that you can make space for something new. Instead of thinking about what you might lose, can you soften into the possibility of what you might gain? What might become possible when your energy is freed up, redirected, when you loosen your grip and trust in the space that you're making? Think of it like swinging across monkey bars. Right now, you might be gripping onto 2 bars at once, split. The past you knew and the future that's calling. You feel stretched, suspended between the comfort of who you were and the uncertainty of who you're becoming. But there's a moment when holding on to both becomes exhausting, uncomfortable, and unsustainable. At some point, the only way forward is to gently let go and loosen your grip of the past bar and take that momentum to swing toward the future. Even though it's unfamiliar, even though it's unknown. The beauty here is that you are never dropping. You're swinging forward into what's next. When you release the resistance, when you trust the process, life begins to flow again. The energy circulates. Relief washes over you. You might even find yourself wondering, why didn't I do this sooner? The act of letting go is not a loss. It's liberation. Because that anticipation of letting go is always more painful than the reality. What makes it feel so deeply uncomfortable isn't usually the act itself. It's the mind. When you're on the brink of releasing something significant, your mind might immediately start spinning stories. It imagines every worst case scenario, every painful outcome, every possible disaster. It tells you, you can't do this. You'll regret it. It's not safe. You'll lose too much. But as long as you're only imagining scenarios, you remain trapped in the discomfort without ever experiencing the relief of actual release. Your mind stays stuck in the theoretical, stories of fear and what ifs. If you never actually swing forward into action, if you never surrender, you'll never know what freedom and relief and joy await you on the other side. At some point, your old self simply doesn't fit anymore. That discomfort of being suspended between who you've been and who you're becoming intensifies. Eventually, you have to decide. Will you choose the discomfort of holding on, staying stuck, spinning endlessly in imagined scenarios? Or will you choose the discomfort that's temporary and brave of letting go, swinging forward, and catching hold of your new self? Because on the other side of this is relief. Relief in having made a decision. It's tangible, it's real, even though it might be uncomfortable, even though it might still be painful. You've made a choice. You've chosen freedom. The freedom of choosing differently, of untethering yourself from the very things that have kept you stuck. When you finally release that grip, you free yourself from the endless imagining, exhausting guessing, and painful indecision. You're no longer trapped in a loop of hypothetical scenarios. Instead, you're stepping forward into actual lived experience. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but the discomfort is alive with possibility, growth, and expansion. I wrote another prompt in my journal during that time. After working with a coach in one of my sessions, I was noticing how scary the highs were feeling. I was used to the lows, but those moments of high excitement, I wasn't trusting. And here's what I wrote. I worked on upping my threshold for experiencing the highs, the energy, and the magnetic qualities that I possess. I'm building my appreciation and trust for the highs, not just the lows. Isn't that funny? I'm so trusting and comfortable with the lows. I've built a whole business around it. But I'm still building that same respect for the highs. My inner voice said that they aren't extremes. They are harmonizers. They co-regulate each other and are creating balance, not chaos. I love that. So, letting go is an act of harmonizing those extremes, of learning to trust not just the lows, but also the highs, the unknowns, and the moments of expansion. So if you are stuck right now, suspended between who you've been and who you're becoming, ask yourself, which discomfort am I choosing? Now, before we wrap, I want to bring this piece home, which we already touched on, but I feel like it needs to be revisited. Letting go doesn't have to look like a dramatic unraveling or a tidal wave of emotion like it did for me in this recent experience. Yes, what I experienced was big, it was bold, and it came on the heels of a lot of micro internal shifts, which I've shared with you over the course of this year. I could feel myself emerging into a new version of me. And then it suddenly came to the point where we just needed to wash away the rest of the debris. But not every release is loud. Not every letting go is a storm. Sometimes it's a slow melt, a quiet sigh. Sometimes it's one gentle moment of choosing differently. My inner voice told me that this was the final clear out for now. A polishing, a squeezing of the last remnants of an old version of me so I could be filled with freshness. That this intensity wasn't a breakdown, it was a clean sweep, an energetic fine-tuning. And I want to remind you, my experience won't look like yours. Letting go is personal. It's shaped by your own nervous system, your own right timing, and your own inner voice and inner wiring. Me? I have a high capacity for emotional processing. And like I said, I'm really comfortable with the lows. This is my work. It's my journey that I'm getting more and more masterful in. I'm a willing explorer of the emotional terrain. But you may move through your own release in softer ways, in quiet realizations, or small pivots that add up over time. And throughout the years, I've had both. I've had the quiet unraveling and the explosive release. They're so sacred, however they show up. But here's something we all share, no matter how it unfolds for you. Releasing, shedding, letting go is taxing. It takes energy. Even when it's aligned, even when it's an expander, even if it's clearly the right thing that you must do. It pulls on your system. It redirects your flow and it repatterns your body. It's a full body event, even if it's only happening on the inside. And you have to rest during these times. For me, it looked like 9 to 10 hours of sleep a night. Deep, potent dreams, a sense that my inner world is doing just as much work at night as my mind was doing during the day. It's like my body was saying, shh, we're integrating now. I'd been waking up slowly, working for a few clear hours, and then feeling the crash. I needed space, rest, quiet, and stillness. Less input from the external world and more insight from my inner world. And I honored that. As much as I could, I honored my body's need for spaciousness. Think of it like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. It's not a graceful flit and fly moment. It takes work. Or a bird trying to break out of its shell. There's effort. It's disorienting. There's a tenderness when you emerge from that depth, from that cocoon. And there's a necessary adjustment period on the other side. A pause as you blink in the new light. Once you emerge, you don't launch into flight. You assimilate. You stretch, you breathe, you recalibrate. So if you're in a season of shedding, whether it's a storm or a soft unraveling, give yourself time and space. You don't need to immediately soar. You don't have to rush to make it make sense. Let your system catch up. Use your tools. Hydrate, nourish your body, spend time in nature, reduce your inputs, sleep, pause, and let it all integrate. This is sacred work. It's energetic exertion, even if no one can see it from the outside. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're not lazy. You're in a cycle. And like all cycles, this one will complete and something new will unfold in its place. So can you trust it? There is no rush. There is no force. There is only right timing. So as we close, let this be your reminder. Letting go isn't about losing who you are. It's about releasing who you're not anymore. It's about loosening the grip on identities, relationships, expectations, timelines, or old dreams that no longer feel true. Not in punishment, not in shame, but as an act of compassion, as an act of energetic realignment. Because that weight you've been carrying, that tight grip that you've been holding, it's costing you something. And when you finally soften the grip, what floods in might just surprise you. Relief, clarity, space, self. Letting go doesn't mean you drop into nothingness. It means you get to swing forward toward the version of you who's already waiting. So if you're somewhere in the middle of it all, if the shedding has started but you're not sure what's next, if you're feeling the discomfort of the in-between, this episode, this space, this message truly is for you. And you are not alone. And I honor you for having the soft, steady courage to keep showing up for yourself in each and every moment. I'm with you. And I'll meet you in the space just beyond the letting go, where your roots grow deeper, your wings open wider, and the next version of you begins to shape. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. And truly, if you are in a phase of letting go and you need additional support, I'm here for you. I would love to support you in that. I'm working with quite a few people right now who are in the midst of it, and having someone with you in your corner can be really valuable. So in the form below, I have some information about my one-to-one work where you really get to experience a different way of letting this unfold. So it's not this shattering, painful, gripping, hurtful experience, but it can actually be something that can be more gentle, even in the intensity of it all. And then, of course, we have the Clutter Cleanse coming up, which is a 5-day reset for mind, body, and home. And you will transform from overwhelmed to organized in just 5 days. And each day we'll uncover how hidden clutter fuels anxiety and overwhelm. And then we'll take action together on a live call to clear it from your emotional and physical spaces in your life. So if you want to sign up for that, that is in the show notes, and you can also find it in my Instagram or on my email list, and all of those are linked below. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey, and I would love to hear from you. If you text this episode in the link in the show notes, you can let me know how this episode resonated and what you are shedding and letting go of in this moment. And remember, it is all happening for you. Bye. Thank you for joining me in another episode of the Tuning In podcast. If you loved this episode, please rate and review it or share it with a friend. If you want to go deeper into the realm of emotions and learn the language of your body, check out my audio course, Emotions Decoded, at alignful.com/audio. As always, you can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans. See you next week.